Hi everyone, today we're gonna jump back into Box of Shocks. We're on chapter 6. Ollie just jumped off a bridge, literally, into very scary river waters, but managed to swim back up with a bolt that he is planning on putting in his Box of Shocks. So let's dive in. The bolt's not going to leave my hand until it's inside my Box of Shocks. Not even for a second. After hiking back through the bushes to the beach, I grab my flip-flops, jump on Stuart's old bike, and ride all the way back to the farm. I hold onto the handlebars with my left hand. My right hand is still clutching the bolt. Stuart follows on his new bike, yammering the whole way. "You sure were lucky the police didn't stop when you jumped off the bridge, Oliver. Maybe they didn't see you, or maybe they were on a call or something more important. Like a bank robbery could have been happening. Do you hear me, Oliver?" Stuart can babble on all he likes. All I can think about is my deadliest stunt yet, and how I'm going to be adding this amazing shock to my Box of Shocks. I consider putting the bolt on in my left hand or in my pocket, but I don't trust my left hand as much as my right. And there might be holes in my pocket. No, the bolt will stay in my right hand until it's safely inside my Box of Shocks. That's all there is to it. At supper that night, I'm still clutching the bolt when I sit down for supper with Uncle Ned, Aunt Jean, and Stuart. This makes eating a little awkward, but I don't care. "I know it's a lot easier to eat corn on the cob if you use both hands," Aunt Jean says. "It's okay, Aunt Jean. I always find that corn tastes better if you eat it with one hand." Aunt Jean's eyebrows wag up and down. She and Mum are very different, but one thing they do share is pickiness about table manners. After supper, it's always my job to clear the table. Because I'm just using one hand, I have to make twice as many trips to the kitchen. Stuart rolls his eyes, but he doesn't say anything. If he did squeal to his mom and dad about me jumping off the Pegasus Valley Bridge, Aunt Jean would blame him for letting me do such a dangerous thing in the first place. For his own good, Stuart knows the best thing to do is to keep his mouth shut. That night, I wrap my right hand in Scotch tape so I won't lose my grip on the bolt as I sleep. When I wake up the next morning, I can feel the bolt nestled in my hand. Before heading down to breakfast, I use nail clippers to cut the tape, open my fingers, and stare at the bolt. Everything comes back to me, balancing on the old wooden beams of the bridge, trying to loosen the bolt from the beam, somersaulting in free fall, and nearly drowning in the river. Nothing can happen to this once-in-a-lifetime bolt. Uncle Ned is going to drive me home. I jam my clothes into my duffel bag with my left hand and use my teeth to close the zipper. Luckily, I'm wearing flip-flops, so I don't have any shoelaces to tie. It's a 3-hour drive back to my house, and Stuart gets car sick, so he stays at the farm. Aunt Jean makes me ride in the back of the van because she doesn't trust the airbags. I hop into the back seat, reach across, and pull the door shut with my left hand. Aunt Jean and Stuart stand at the end of the driveway and wave as Uncle Ned and I pull away. As we drive along the highway, Uncle Ned blasts country and western music on the stereo. It's too loud to talk over, but I don't mind. I'm happy to sit in the back seat. Every once in a while, I open my hand to take another look at the amazing bolt and think about its honored place in my Box of Shocks. The drive home seems to take forever. My grip tightens on the bolt with every mile we get closer to home. By the time we're halfway, my knuckles are white from squeezing so hard. "Can you drive a little faster, Uncle Ned?" I say. My knee is bouncing up and down like a jackhammer. "I always drive the speed limit," Uncle Ned replies. "What's your rush, anyway?" "Nothing," I say. "I just want to see Mom and Dad." I look out the window at the passing farms. The old barns, bales of hay scattered across the fields, cows, horses, stuff I've seen a million times before. I've also looked in my Box of Shocks about a million times, but that's different. Every time I pull it out of my closet, my heart speeds up. When I sit on my bed and open the lid, the palms of my hands get all sweaty. I close my eyes, and when the lid swings open, I inhale the musty air. I open my eyes and see all of those stupendous shocks. I feel the chill of a cool Halloween night, the tickle of a tarantula on my arm, the tug of a vicious dog on my pant leg, and the taste of a greasy, half-cooked burger. Every single memory is so amazing. We reach the edge of town. It won't be long now. Uncle Ned pulls the van into our driveway. It won't be long now before Uncle Ned pulls the van into our driveway. I know exactly what I'll do. First thing first, I'll give my parents their usual hugs and tell them what a great time I had. I'll thank Uncle Ned. Then, while my parents chat with him, I'll run up to my room. I'll slam the door and barricade it with a chair. Then I'll rip the wall panel off the back of the closet. There, my box of shocks will be, tightly nestled in its perfect hiding place. I will gently lift it out so that everything inside will stay in its special position in the box. The Halloween candy's in the right-hand corner. The picture of Mr. Creepy fits perfectly across the middle. The piece of Spike is next to that, and the opposite corner is the burger wrapper folded into 4. There's plenty of room in the box for the bolt, but it needs a special place because it's probably the greatest stunt I've pulled so far. Maybe the bolt should go right in the middle, and I'll move the picture of Mr. Creepy over to the right side. Then again, maybe the bolt should sit beside the Halloween candy. After all, visiting the Milburn house was pretty crazy, probably second only to jumping from the bridge, but Spike McChomp almost tore my leg off. As I'm thinking of where to put Mr. Creepy's picture, Uncle Ned turns the van onto our street. Finally, I say. Why's that? Uncle Ned says. You gotta go to the bathroom or something? No, it's much more important than going to the bathroom. If you gotta go, I can't think of too many things more important than going to the bathroom, Uncle Ned says. Yes, it's even more important than going to the bathroom, I say. My eyes are fixed on our house. The old brown siding, the trellis covered in Virginia creeper, the heavy front door with the half circle of stainless glass, the gravel driveway that curves around the side of the house. But Uncle Ned doesn't pull into our driveway. Instead, he turns the opposite way and pulls into the Watsons' driveway across the street. Whoa, Uncle Ned, I say. You suddenly forgot where we live? This is the Watsons' place. Uncle Ned stops the van, looks at me and says, Your parents have a little bit of news for you. They do? I say. Is it good news or bad news? Uncle Ned shrugs as he shuts off the engine. The front door of the Watsons' house swings open and my parents run out towards the van. They always run out like this when Uncle Ned brings me back from a visit to the farm. Only they don't usually run out of the neighbor's house. Something's a bit strange here. Mom flings the side door of the van open, reaches in, grabs me by the arm, yanks me out, and gives me a hug so powerful I'm worried my eyeballs will pop out. Oh, it's so good to have you home, Oliver, she says, giving me another bone-crushing hug. We have such exciting news for you. You do? I reply. I'm suspicious. When my parents get this happy, it's not always a good thing. Their idea of happy and my idea of happy aren't the same thing. Right now, the situation looks dangerous. What are you doing at the Watsons' house? I say. It's not the Watsons' house anymore, Mom says with a grin. It's our house now. Isn't that great? I don't say anything. I'm too shocked to talk. It's like I've been thrown into an ice-cold mountain lake. My brain doesn't know what to make of this, so it can't think of any words right now. I'm totally stunned. We know it's rather sudden, Dad says, and we thought of calling you, but it's been so busy rushing back from Toronto and organize the move. And we didn't want you to worry, Mom says. We thought it might spoil your holiday. Plus, We thought it would be a nice surprise. We've moved? Pretty much, Ollie. There are still plenty of boxes to unpack. The movers just brought everything across the street a few days ago. You never said anything about wanting to move. I know. It all happened so quickly, Dad said. The house came up for sale when Mr. Watson got transferred to Toronto. It's got so much more room, Mom says. You have your own bathroom, plus there's a shop in the back where Dad can work on that old go-kart you've always talked about fixing up. What about our old house? We sold it the day the sign went on the front lawn, if you can believe it, Dad says with a grin. Mom's boss bought it as an investment and he's renting it out. What's wrong, Oliver? Mom says. We thought you'd be thrilled about moving into a newer, bigger house, but you don't look very pleased. You're always complaining about having to wait to use the bathroom. And remember how cold your room got in the winter? This house is better for all of us in so many ways. Plus, it's just across the street, so it's not like you have to go to a different school. You'll still live close to your friends. What about all my stuff? All moved, Dad says with a grin. The movers had us all moved across the street in one day. I made sure they're particularly careful moving your fish. I began to walk across the street toward my old house, gripping the bolt so tightly I can feel the end digging into the palm of my hand. Where are you going, Oliver? Mom says. Don't you want to see your new house? I have to go back. You can't go back. A new family's already moved in, Mom says. I don't care. I have to go back. There's no reason to go back. We moved everything, Dad says. Nothing of yours was left behind. We even set up your new room just the way you had it in the old house. Everything is the same. I don't care. I have to go back, Oliver, I shout. You can't, Oliver, Dad says, raising his voice. It's someone else's house now. I'm sorry you're upset, but you'll love the new house. I promise. I point across the street and say, that's the house we're supposed to be living in. That's our house, not this new one. I know the move must be a bit of a shock to you, Oliver, Mom says. Change is hard sometimes, but it won't take long for you to get used to living in this house. I don't want to get used to it. I like our old house. I want to move back. I feel my jaw tighten as the words tumble out. This is horrible. No, it's worse than horrible. My parents have no idea. I have to go back to our old house and get the most valuable thing in the world. But I can't tell them about it. No matter what, they can't ever know about my box of shocks. Dad steps towards me and slings his arm around my shoulders. I know you're attached to the old house, Ollie. Your mom and I have fond memories of the old house as well, but we think moving here is for the best. Mom tugs at my arm and pulls me into the new house. As she and Dad show me and Uncle Ned around, I don't say anything. The wheels are already turning in my head. Somehow I'll find a way back into my old house. Somehow I'll rescue my box of shocks. I have to. The bolt in my hand is burning to get inside of that box. After the tour of the house, Dad serves us lunch in the new dining room. I'm eating with my left hand, but Mom and Dad don't seem to notice anything unusual. While we eat, they go on and on about the hardwood flooring in the living room, the teak cabinets in the kitchen, and the marble countertops in the bathroom. As Dad begins to describe the built-in vacuum system, I blurt out, "Who lives in our old house?" "It's not our house anymore, Oliver," Mom says. "Okay, then who lives in the old house across the street?" I say. "I don't know. They just moved in today. We haven't met them yet," Dad says. "I heard they were new in town, but beyond that, I haven't a clue," Mom says. "I'm sure you'll have a chance to meet them soon," Dad says. "It looks like they have a boy about your age." After Uncle Ned leaves, I storm up to my room, pull a chair over to the window, and sit staring at my old house. The only good thing about the new house is that my bedroom window looks right out across the street to my old house. I sit for a long time, holding the bolt and staring at my old house. There's no car in the driveway, and I can't see any lights on. The new family living in my old house must be out. I keep watching, waiting for them to come home. A couple hours later, Mom called me down for supper. "Not hungry," I call back without opening my bedroom door. As usual, she tries to coax me down to dinner, but this time it's no use. I refuse to budge. "He'll come out when he's hungry," I hear Dad say to Mom. I sit at the window staring across the street without taking my eyes off my old house. Eventually, the people living in my house have to come home. It gets dark, but there are no lights on in the old house. They've been out for a few hours now, and who knows when they'll return. Should I take a chance and run over there right now? There's a house key hidden under the rock in the back garden. It wouldn't take me more than a minute to run upstairs to my old room and rescue my box of shocks. I think about it for a minute, but then a really old car with no muffler, squeaky wheels, grinding brakes, and a sputtering engine drives up the street and turns into the driveway. The car stops, the doors slowly open, and 3 people get out, 2 adults and a kid. It's too dark to get a good look at them. "Lights out, Oliver," Mom calls from the hallway. "It's way past your bedtime." "Bedtime?" I call back. "It's only 10 o'clock. At Uncle Ned and Aunt Jean's, I stayed up until at least 3 every morning." "Oliver, you heard me," Mom says. It's useless to argue. Arguing with my parents is like wrestling a 500-pound gorilla armed with a bazooka. So I turn off my light and I pretend to go to bed while I wait for her to go downstairs. I count to 100 slowly, and then I slip out of bed and cross my room and sit by the window. There's a light on in the living room of my old house. Then I see something I don't like one little bit. It makes me want to throw open the window and jump down onto the front lawn, tear across the street, break down the door, and charge upstairs. There's a light glowing from the side of the house. I know exactly where that light's coming from. My old bedroom. Someone is in my bedroom, probably the kid. And if the kid's in my bedroom, he'll be using my closet. And if he's using my closet, he'll discover the loose panel at the back. And if he loosens the wall panel at the back, he'll find my box of shocks. And if he finds my box of shocks, then what will he do? Maybe he'll eat the candy I got from the Milburn house. Or maybe he'll think it's a bunch of junk and throw it all out, including the box. That kid has no idea how important that box is to me. I bite my lips so hard I can taste blood. There's no time to lose. I have to break into my old house and rescue my box of shocks as soon as I can. Suddenly, the lights go off in my old house. I breathe a sigh of relief. If the lights are out, the kid won't be able to find my box of shocks. For now, it's safe. I lie on my back on the bed and clasp my hands behind my head. In one hand, I'm still holding the bolt. There is no way to get back inside my old house without being caught. But the more I think about it, breaking into my old house seems pretty risky. For one thing, it's probably against the law. For another, I don't know what the new people are like. Maybe they have a poisonous pet snake that runs loose in the house. Or maybe they're professional knife throwers who could pin me to a wall from 40 feet. Or maybe there's something worse that I haven't even thought of. This makes trick-or-treating at the Milburn house look easy. It makes jumping from the Pegasus Valley Bridge look like a walk in the park. But when I sit up, open my hand, and see the rusty bolt, it doesn't matter how dangerous going back into my old house might be. I have to get my box of shocks back. But how? And that's the end of the chapter. All right, we will pick up with chapter 7 another day. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all staying safe. And I will see you later.